Welcome to Grafted Theology, where we explore the deep and transformative truths of the Christian faith. I'm your host, Drew Witten, and today we are diving into the second part of the series that we are doing on the doctrines of man. Last time I covered what it means to be made in the image of God, being that we are to represent and reflect God and steward His creation. When we also covered why this topic is important. But the primary topic I want to tackle this week in regard to the doctrine of man is God's design being good in relation to how God chose to make us as male and female. And I know in our current culture, this topic can be very heated. And my aim, though, is not to be intentionally antagonistic or to even be derogatory, but to help us gain understanding that God's design isn't arbitrary, but rather his design is good, intentional, and purposeful according to a biblical worldview. I could use the potter and clay illustration that some of you may be familiar with, but considering that I'm a nerd, let's go with a board game design illustration. In my spare time, I'm a novice board game designer, and when making a game, everything has a particular purpose and function. Also, there are rules that I've set so that each of the game components can fulfill their intended purpose. However, in the real world, which is not a game, we are God's creatures. This is His creation. He made all things, and in His wisdom and goodness, assigned each part of creation its place and purpose. The biblical foundations of what it means to be a man or woman can be traced back to Genesis, where human beings are uniquely made in His image and likeness, making them distinct within the created order. Let's first look at Genesis 1:26 through 28, which says, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.' So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, 'Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over everything, living thing that moves on the earth.'" Then let's look at Genesis 5 1 through 2. "This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female, he created them. And he blessed them and named them man when they were created," as in like mankind. So Genesis 1:26 recounts God's stated intention to create humanity. In Genesis 1:27, he accomplishes it and tells us that he made man, the Hebrew Adam, in his own image and likeness, as we went over last time. And being image bearers means that we are created to serve as his representatives, stewards of creation, and called to reflect his character and purposes visibly on earth, effectively serving as his proxies, with Jesus as being the ultimate imager. So let's first look at how we are made. So, however, humanity being equally made in God's image, this does not mean that we are identical or interchangeable, considering that God, in the Genesis account, distinctly made and distinguishes them as male and female. Jesus even reiterated this when he was addressing the Pharisees in Matthew 19:4. He answered, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female?" And this can also be seen in Mark 10:6. So the Genesis 1 account also makes evident the subtle nuances that humanity, being called man, Adam, was more than the individual human named Adam. While the creation account tells us God created humanity, the specifics of how he distinguished distinguished male and female are found in the next chapter. So Genesis 2:7 recounts the creation of Adam when God formed him from the dust of the earth and gave him the breath of life, and Adam became a living being. After God created Adam, he stated that it wasn't good for Adam to be alone. So he showed Adam who the other creatures had their opposite gender counterparts. Genesis 2:19 through 20, you can see this, and how none of those were suitable for Adam. Once the need was demonstrated, God put Adam to sleep, removed one of Adam's ribs in Genesis 2:21, and from that rib fashioned Adam's female counterpart, Genesis 2:22. When God brought her to Adam, Adam acknowledged that she was of the same nature, recognizing her equality, and yet distinct. And you can see this in Genesis 2:23. That equality, complementary, and distinctiveness are acknowledged throughout the Bible. For example, Peter would later refer to women as fellow heirs of grace. You can see this in 1 Peter 3:7. And as I've covered last week, all human beings, both male and female, are equally made in God's image, with equal dignity, worth, and value. We also see that the creation account in Genesis provides the background and basis for gender distinctions, sexuality, and even marriage. In Genesis 2:24, this wasn't done by chance. This wasn't based on a personal decision of decision or feeling, but upon God's good design. The creation of both genders is integral to God's divine plan and purpose for humanity. As Proverbs 16:4 says, the Lord has made everything for its purpose. Also, this binary sex differences was necessary to fulfill the divine mandate to be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over it. And that's in Genesis 1:28. God created humanity with two unique and complementary counterparts, male and female. And the binary, the creative work provides the framework for human relations. This means that manliness or femaleness are not social constructs, but creational realities. We cannot change or redefine our gender identity because it's part of how God made us and who we are. And the further away from the designer a society gets, the further away the culture seeks to move from God's good, purposeful, and intentional design. Our culture wants to put ourselves in the place of our creator. We want to be our own gods. Our world also seems to be giving many people very conflicting messages, such as, you're perfect the way you are, be your true self, but yet also saying that maybe you were made wrong. What I'm trying to drive home here is that we are not mistakes, but we are fearfully and wonderfully made in God's image with value, dignity, intentionality, and purpose. I truly believe God's design is good. God created man and woman to bear his image together, each uniquely and in a complementary way, representing God here on earth. There's distinction between male and female, but no difference in their humanity, image-bearing capacity, dignity, worth, or purpose. And with their creation, God saw that all he had made was very good. Genesis 1:30 says, "And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day." God knows us intimately, for he formed and knitted each of us together in our mother's womb. As Psalm 139:13 through 14 says, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well." When it says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, An alternative way of saying this in the Hebrew is, I am fearfully set apart or distinct. So many people are seeking to stand out, to feel unique in some way, but God already made us unique. He set us apart. Psalm 119:73 says, Your hands have made and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn your commandments. In conclusion, we must keep in mind that God intentionally created us as both male and female for his glory. The ultimate goal of our existence is to fulfill our own desires or preferences, but to glorify God and enjoy him forever. How we were made is not by accident or burden, but a precious gift from God. In the present day, many individuals grapple with questions about their identity and purpose. To those who are uncertain, we can take comfort in knowing that our Creator has carefully fashioned us and cares for us even when we lose our way. Where better to seek our identity and purpose than the one who both defined and designed us? God's design isn't arbitrary, and we are not mistakes, but are fearfully and wonderfully made in God's image with value, dignity, intentionality, and purpose. Paul in Ephesians 2:10 even reminds us that we are created as God's workmanship, reborn through Jesus and uniquely designed to fulfill his purpose in our lives. Well, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch or listen. And I hope this was helpful in you growing in the Lord and hopefully seeing that you have value, you do have purpose, you do have dignity. God created you with these things, and he created us male and female for specific reasons and for specific purposes. And always be sure, to honor God with how we are made and to honor him with the purposes that he has made for you. But uh, so I hope that you enjoyed this. Please always like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you next time in the next episode of Grafted Theology.